Your dog has $40 worth of toys scattered across the living room floor. Rubber rings, rope knots, squeaky things in every shape imaginable. He walks right past all of them. Then you leave the room for 20 minutes and come back to find your $300 leather shoes in pieces. Shredded. Gone. And you are standing there thinking, why? Why the shoes? Why always the expensive stuff? Here's what nobody tells you. Your dog isn't targeting your wallet. He's following something ancient, something hardwired. And once you understand what's actually driving this, the whole thing stops feeling personal and starts making complete sense. Let us be honest. The first time it happened, you probably blamed yourself. Maybe you didn't give him enough attention that day. Maybe you left him alone too long. Maybe you just need more toys, better toys, different toys. So you bought more. And he ignored those too. Then destroyed something else that cost you real money. And now there's this low-level dread every time you leave the house. You're mentally doing inventory. What's on the floor? What's within reach? What's going to be gone when you get back? That's exhausting. And the frustrating part is that none of the usual explanations actually hold up. It's not spite. Your dog doesn't understand the concept of expensive. He's not punishing you for leaving. He's not acting out of boredom in some random, chaotic way. There's a real mechanism behind this, one that goes back thousands of years before leashes existed, before dog toys were even a thing. Once you understand that mechanism, two things happen. First, the behavior finally makes sense. And second, and this is the part that actually matters, you'll know exactly what to do about it. So let us get into it. Why does your dog ignore the cheap toys and destroy the expensive ones? The answer is a lot more specific than you think. Here's where it starts. Your dog is not a domesticated animal in the way we usually mean that word. Yes, he lives in your house. Yes, he knows his name. But underneath all of that, underneath the training and the routine and the couch privileges, there's a predator. An animal whose entire evolutionary history was built around one core activity: finding, catching, and consuming prey. That drive didn't disappear when dogs started living indoors. It just went looking for new outlets. And this is the first thing you need to understand. Destructive chewing isn't a behavioral problem in the clinical sense. It's a behavioral solution. Your dog's nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for things that feel like prey, not things that look like prey, things that feel like it. Texture, resistance, give, the way a material compresses and tears. And here's where your expensive stuff comes in. Short start leather, real leather, has a texture profile that is almost neurologically identical to animal hide. It has natural oils. It has grain. It has that specific combination of firmness and flexibility that tells your dog's brain, at a very deep level, this is the real thing. This is worth pursuing. Your dog isn't choosing your shoes because they are expensive. He's choosing them because they feel like prey. The price tag is completely irrelevant to him. What matters is the material. And leather, rubber, and dense foam hit those ancient triggers harder than almost anything else. Short end, now let us talk about why the cheap toys fail. Most budget dog toys are made from thin, hollow plastic or low-density rubber. They do not have real give. They do not compress in a satisfying way. They bounce back too fast or break apart too easily. And neither of those outcomes scratches the itch. See, what your dog is actually looking for isn't destruction for its own sake. He's looking for a specific sensory experience. The feeling of working through resistance, breaking something down, completing a sequence that his nervous system has been primed for since before domestication. Cheap toys short-circuit that sequence. They either do not engage it at all or they end it too quickly. So he walks past them, not because he's spoiled, because they do not feel right. Now, some toys are expensive and still get ignored. And that confuses people. They spend $40, $50 on a premium chew toy, and the dog sniffs it once and walks away. This is actually consistent with everything we've just talked about. Price alone doesn't determine sensory value. A $50 toy made from the wrong material, something too hard, too synthetic, with no real give, will still fail to engage those instinctive triggers. Meanwhile, your leather wallet sitting on the coffee table hits every single one. So the question isn't cheap versus expensive. The question is, what material properties is your dog responding to, and can you redirect those towards something appropriate? Let us go deeper on the 3 material categories that reliably trigger destructive chewing. The first is leather and hide. Real animal-derived materials carry a scent profile that synthetic materials simply cannot replicate. Your dog's nose is detecting things you are not: residual proteins, natural oils, traces of the biological processes involved in making that material. And his brain is cross-referencing all of that against a library of instinctive associations. Leather shoes, leather bags, leather belts, they do not just feel right. They smell right. This is why he'll ignore a synthetic leather lookalike and go straight for the real thing. He can tell the difference with his nose long before his teeth get involved. The second category is dense, structured foam. Think about the inside of a shoe, that padded insole, that cushioned midsole, or the armrest of a couch, or the corner of a mattress. These materials have a specific compression quality that mimics the resistance of soft tissue. Your dog bites into it, it holds the shape of the bite, and that feedback loop triggers something deeply satisfying in the predatory sequence. It's the same reason dogs go after stuffed animals and pillows. It's not random. It's the foam. The third category is rubber, specifically natural rubber or thick synthetic rubber with real density. This one is interesting because it can go either way. The right rubber, dense, with appropriate resistance, is actually one of the best materials for redirect chewing. The wrong rubber, too thin, too hollow, too bouncy, fails to engage the drive and gets abandoned immediately. This is why some rubber toys work brilliantly and others just collect dust. It's not the brand. It's the density and the give. Now let us talk about something that makes this all significantly worse: anxiety. Because here's what happens when your dog is stressed, understimulated, or anxious about your absence. The threshold for triggering that predatory chewing sequence drops dramatically. Under normal conditions, your dog might casually sniff the leather shoes and move on. But under stress, when you've been gone longer than usual, when there's been a disruption to his routine, when his cortisol is elevated, that sniff becomes an invitation he cannot refuse. The material properties hit harder when he's already in a heightened state. So it is not that anxious dogs chew more randomly. It's that anxious dogs have a lower activation threshold for the exact instinctive behaviors we've been talking about. The shoes were always interesting. When he's stressed, they become irresistible. This is why so many people see the chewing get dramatically worse during changes in routine: a new work schedule, a move, a new person in the house. It's not the change itself that causes the chewing. The change elevates stress. Stress lowers the threshold, and suddenly every piece of leather within reach becomes a target. So what do you actually do about this? Let us get practical. Step 1 is understanding that you are not going to train away the instinct. This is a critical reframe. A lot of people approach destructive chewing like it is a discipline problem, something you correct, punish, or extinguish. And that approach fails over and over again because it is fighting the wrong thing. You're not trying to turn off your dog's prey drive. You cannot. What you are trying to do is redirect it toward materials you've approved and made accessible. This distinction matters enormously for your strategy. Step 2 is auditing your environment through your dog's nose and nervous system, not through your eyes. Walk through your home and identify everything that has those material properties: real leather, dense foam, thick rubber. Those are the high-risk items. Not because your dog is bad, but because from his neurological perspective, those items are genuinely compelling. Move them. Contain them. Make them inaccessible when you are not supervising. This isn't giving up. This is removing the opportunity while you build the right habits. Step 3 is investing in the right redirect materials. And here you have to think like your dog, not like a shopper. You're not looking for the cutest toy or the most expensive one. You're looking for materials that hit those same neurological triggers. dense rubber with real resistance, natural hide chews that have actual texture and scent, thick rope that shreds progressively rather than all at once. The goal is to give his prey drive somewhere legitimate to go. Step 4, and this is the one most people skip, is engagement. You cannot just leave the right toy on the floor and expect it to do the work. In the beginning, especially if your dog has already learned that the real stuff is more satisfying, you need to make the redirect objects interesting. Use them in play. Handle them so they carry your scent. Create a little bit of chase before you let him have it. You're essentially making the approved toy feel like prey, because that's the only context in which it is going to compete with your leather belt. Step 5 is addressing the stress component directly. If the chewing spikes when you leave, that's telling you something important. A physically and mentally exercised dog has a significantly lower stress baseline. A dog who gets real, vigorous, instinct-satisfying activity before a period of alone time is a dog who's much less likely to redline into destructive behavior while you are gone. This isn't just about burning energy. It's about completing instinctive behavioral sequences so they do not stay activated and unresolved. A 20-minute structured activity session before you leave the house is worth more than a pile of toys left behind. And here's the thing that pulls all of this together. When you stop seeing this as your dog being destructive and start seeing it as your dog being driven by something ancient, specific, and entirely logical from his perspective, your whole approach shifts. You stop being frustrated at him for being what he is. You start being strategic about what you can control. The material properties that trigger the chewing do not change. The instinct doesn't disappear, but your ability to work with it, redirect it, and build an environment where it doesn't cost you $300 every few weeks, that's completely within reach. If this reframe changed how you are thinking about your dog's chewing, even a little, then take one practical step today. Just one. Walk through your home right now and identify the 3 highest-risk items based on material properties, not value. Leather, foam, rubber. Move them somewhere he cannot access unsupervised. Then pick one redirect object that actually has the right density and texture, not the cheapest one, not the flashiest one, the right one. Use it with him today, not just leave it on the floor. That's where the shift starts. Not in some complicated training program, but in understanding what's actually happening and giving it somewhere to go. Your dog isn't broken. He's just very, very good at being a dog. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, scan the QR code on the screen right now to subscribe and join the Pawsome Life family. Give your dog a belly rub for us, and we will see you in the next video.